President Donald Trump is set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Mar-a-Lago today. The two leaders are expected to talk about North Korea as well as trade. All this coming after the commander-in-chief blasted China's manufacturing as a candidate on the campaign trail.
Apple and our other major companies will start making their iPhones and their computers and other products inside the United States, not in China.
What China has done to our country, they have taken our money, they have taken our jobs.
We've lost 60,000 factories since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001.
Last Friday, President Trump signed 2 executive orders focused on reducing the trade deficit. Let's talk about trade. Bob, obviously, this was what you focused on so much when you were running Home Depot, Chrysler, the trade situation. What do you expect in terms of measures coming out of this meeting today?
Well, I think, first of all, we got to make sure, did China take our jobs, or because of regulations, taxes, and uncompetitive situations, were we forced to move jobs over there and businesses? So I think we have to be candid about what really took place. Now, I do think that the president really needs to work on a balance of trades. In other words, we need to have their markets as open as ours has been to them. So that's what we're really looking for, a little quid pro quo with China.
Well, one of the issues, Deegan, is, the Chinese will not allow American companies to own more than just a joint venture of 49%. If you want to get access to the 1.3 billion people in China, or the 1.1 billion people in China, you're not going to do it in an ownership situation. It's going to be a JV. It's going to be a minority ownership.
Right, and I think that speaks to the broad point of discussion between President Trump and President Xi, is that we're going to have a level playing field. Moving forward, maybe it's not completely apples to apples, but you've got to have some give rather than a lot of take from the nation of China, and always a sticking point, and it goes back to how we manage our own finances here, is the vast amount of treasury debt that the Chinese hold. It's about, I think, it differs from month to month, but it's the second largest owner, foreign owner of our debt, and that always gives them negotiating leverage, because what if they stop buying as much?
This is something the president talked about on the campaign trail. It certainly wasn't us versus them situationally, but how do the American people view this relationship? What are they seeing about the president and getting out of this?
You know, what I think, and I think what you said is a very, very important point about they're not necessarily taking our jobs, but the American people do view it as they are taking our job, and in some way it demonizes what China is and has done. They look at quality issues, they look at a lot of the things that have happened over the years, and they say this isn't fair. If it was made in America, it would be better quality, and you're taking our jobs. And so what we need to see is Donald Trump come out of this meeting with some strength and help an understanding of what's really going on and the give and take that needs to happen.
Yeah, I think what he's done on regulations, whether it's EPA, rolling back some of the restrictions on the auto industry, those are all positive incentives that will cause repatriation of jobs back to the U.S. Your point about JV, we had one of the first ones in China on the Jeep. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And you own 49% of this joint venture.
Exactly, and it was very difficult. Quality, forecasting, production quotas. It was just a nightmare.
Yeah, well, that's the issue.
That's incredibly interesting, Bob, because, again, a lot of people don't have that kind of hands-on experience trying to manufacture products in China.
Yeah.
And in terms of President Trump's base, they're more connected with what's happened with Mexico, quite frankly, over the last 20 or 30 years, because in a lot of the Trump strongholds across the country during the election, it was really NAFTA. And the jobs that were lost were not just lost to China, they were lost to Mexico. Furniture manufacturing, textile manufacturing, and the like, a lot of those jobs. And even a lot of the auto jobs went to Mexico.
Well, you speak to any global CEO like Bob Nardelli, and that's the one big issue that they face. They want to have access to the 1 billion people in China. Yes. They want to be able to sell to those people. But the Chinese government knows that. And the Chinese government is not going to give it away, frankly, at all.
Look, we may not like the way China operates, but when they say they're going to start building airplanes, they build them. When they say they want to get into technology, now whether they take the technology, borrow the technology, that's another issue. But they are focused, they are disciplined, and they are hungry for economic growth.
Yeah, the president is also so different, it seems, than President Xi in many ways. The Chinese president reportedly has no social media accounts. He also does not play golf, as the Communist Party has issued a crackdown on the sport in an attempt to target corruption. It's going to be interesting, the optics of this, to watch them today in Mar-a-Lago to see how they get along. I mean, it's a nice thing for the president to be able to offer, come to this glamorous, luxurious Mar-a-Lago estate, but not sure how the Chinese president reacts to this.
He'd be more comfortable in the White House in a conference room. With no media.
Exactly.
But maybe that's the whole point. Donald Trump, the New York Times did this, chart of all the trips that President Trump has taken since he was inaugurated to Trump properties, and I just laughed at it. But the point is that he's a very savvy individual, and he's comfortable in these places. And if people he's meeting with are not comfortable, well, then that gives him the negotiating advantage.
Sure does. It gives him some leverage in that. Let's